Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And we continue with the revision for the April 2025 paper. So today I'll do question 22 and we'll move straight away to the question. Viongozi Enterprise is considering investing in a project with the following details. We have the initial capital outlay of 50 million, but the shillings are in thousands, so it means that it will be a billion. Residual value is 15 million. Selling price per unit 700, variable cost per unit 350. Then selling price per unit was 700, variable cost per unit 350, fixed cost per year 2.5 million, but it's 2.5 billion, yeah, because the shillings are in thousands. Additional information, number one, if implemented, the project has a potential sales value of 38,000 units per annum. Yeah, so we'll have 38,000 units per annum. 38,000 units. The project has a useful life of 5 years. That's okay. The useful life was 5 years. Viongozi Enterprises uses a weighted average cost of capital of 11%. Then for better perspective, the management would like to see the variability in the project returns given a 7.5% adverse change in the project details. So we'll have an adverse variance of 7.5%. Five, for each scenario of input variability, the rest of the inputs are restored to the default input values. Yeah. So it means that as you vary, as you do the sensitivity analysis, the other factors remain constant. Okay, required A, compute the best net present value NPV of the project. Yeah, so I'll start with the best case NPV. The best case NPV. So my best case, I'll color it yellow, then I bold it. Yeah, so the project, it was a 5-year project. So I'll start with the year 0. Then I'll go to home, go to down arrow. Then I'll go to series, yeah, to fill. Yeah, so it's a row. My step value is 1. My stop value is 5. My stop value is 5. Yeah. So once you do that, you highlight, you bold, then you create the bottom border. Yeah, so we'll start with the units. Yeah, so the units, the production will begin in year 1, not year 0. So we'll have 38,000 units, year 1. So we'll also have that for the second year. Yeah, then at that point, I can just drag. Let me just extend the sizes of this. 2 columns. Let me increase the size. Okay, so after units, we'll have what? The selling price per unit. Yeah, so what was the selling price per unit? It was 700 shillings. Yes, it was constant all through. There was no change. So we'll copy it and paste. Just drag. Therefore, we'll have what we call the revenue. What will be our revenue? So our revenue will be selling price per unit times the number of units produced and sold. We'll have that value there. Yeah, it will be the same revenue throughout the project life cycle. Yeah, then the other thing, it will look at the cost, which is variable cost per unit. Variable cost per unit was how much? Was 350. Yeah, so it was 350 all the way. At that point, you can just drag. Yeah, so that you get the total variable cost. Total variable cost. Yeah, so the total variable cost will be the variable cost per unit times the number of units produced and sold, because that's what we calculate the cash flow. It was what was produced and sold. Yeah. So at that point, we just drag. Yeah, so at that point, we'll have what we call contribution. Yeah. Yeah, in this question, we are not going to calculate depreciation. We are not going to deduct depreciation because there's no tax rate. Yeah, the purpose of depreciation is always to act as a tax shield. Yeah, it reduces the amount of tax you pay. And because this question did not give us a tax rate, so it means that there's no tax we are paying for the government. Yeah, so we don't factor in the tax aspect. So I say that when there's no tax rate, then you don't struggle calculating the depreciation. Yeah, yeah. So we just go to contribution. The contribution, and the contribution is the difference between revenue and the variable cost and the total variable cost. So we'll have a contribution of 13.3 million. Okay, so the next item here will be the fixed cost, because there was fixed cost in that question. So our fixed cost was that. So we'll deduct it. It was 2.5 billion. Yeah, because the shillings are in thousands. So I don't, I don't know how this question was framed, because if it is billions, then it really doesn't make sense to me, because why will we use a fixed cost of 1 billion on where we have contribution of 13 million. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't want to correct the examiner, but I think that the billions here does not make sense to me. Yeah, this was supposed to remain the 2.5 million. It makes sense as a fixed cost. Yeah, but having a fixed cost of 2.5 billion, no, it doesn't make sense to me. And even the initial outlay of 50 billion, yeah, and only to get 38,000 units per year, that does not make sense. Huh? Yeah, so allow me just to use the what I think it's practical. Let me use the fixed cost of 2,500. Yeah. Uh, because you see, if you deduct 1 billion from the contribution, it doesn't make sense at all to me. Yeah, but now that's the beauty of doing such a question, because the examiner will not penalize you, because maybe it was a problem with the person who typed it. Huh? Yeah, so fixed cost per year is 2.5. And maybe this was changed in the examination room, so I don't know. But let me use this 2.5 without initiating that other value. Yeah, so it will be 2.5 million. Because this is too much. They having 2.5, you add that will be, like now if you have this times 1,000, that's too much for me. Yeah, that will be 2,500,000,000, 2.5 billion. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, so I'll use the value the way it is, unless will be a correction. But I have a feeling that maybe they did this correction on the examination room. So let me just highlight that. Therefore, we'll have what we call the operating cash flows. Yeah, the key thing here you have to note is that we don't calculate depreciation. Yeah, this question you don't have to calculate depreciation because there's no tax rate. Okay, so therefore the operating cash flow will be this minus this. That makes sense to me. Then I'll create the top border. And then I'll now go to investment statement. So I'll start with the initial investment. So the initial investment is the initial capital outlay. Yeah, and even for year also, this occurs at year zero, because this is the money that you spend. You invest first in the business, yeah. So that's a cash outflow. So it will be negative. So you say equals to negative. And even this value, I'm not going to use it in the billions, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make sense at all to me. I feel those values are exaggerated. So let me. Yeah, the reason why I'm doing that, when you look at this question, identify the inputs variable where the project still remain viable. So it means that the NPV, there was instances where NPV was positive. Yeah, and if you have these things into billions, we won't have that positive NPV. So let me use the values the way they are. Yeah, so this was negative because it's an initial cash outlay. Yeah, there was no working capital. Yeah, so the other item that we have is the residual value, which is the salvage value, which is the continue. So we have the residual value, residual value. So at the end of the project, the residual value, yeah, I'll still pick that 15 million. Yeah, because to me, it makes sense that way. So that's what you sell at the salvage value. At the end of the project, you are selling this. If it was an asset, a capital expenditure, or a capital asset, then you sell it at 15 million. That makes sense to me. Yeah. So therefore, the project cash flow will be the project cash flow will be for year zero, we'll have this. And now for year one up to year four, I'll just drag yeah, up to year. So for the last year of the project, we'll sum this plus the salvage value, also known as the terminal benefit or the residual value. Yeah, they mean the same thing. So we'll have the project cash flow as this. So I'll create a top border there. Yeah. Yeah, so therefore, what will be my NPV? So I'll say the net present value will be equals to NPV. Our rate will be 11% because that's the discounting rate, comma. Then you select all this and you close the bracket, then you add back this value here. Then you enter. So once you enter, let me see. Yeah, it will give me negative 1,182,542. So it means that this project was not viable at that point, yeah, because it doesn't have positive NPV. Yeah, so that's how you are supposed to do part A of that question, and to get yourself, it was awarded 5 marks. Yeah, so it was awarded 5 marks. Yeah. Okay, so we continue. So part B, carry out the NPV and sensitivity analysis of all the project inputs except residual value and project life. Yeah, so I'll start the sensitivity analysis. Part B, sensitivity analysis. So sensitivity analysis, yeah, I've told you that when you're doing sensitivity analysis of NPV, the project inputs, yeah, so we'll start with the units. So I'll copy all this. So I'll say here units for A. Let me say this is A. I'll start with the units. Yeah, that's how you do sensitivity analysis. Yeah, so for A, you start with, so it means that you'll vary units as those other factors remain constant. Everything remain constant. Huh? Yeah, so I'll select all this up to NPV. Then I'll Control C to copy. Then I'll come here and paste. Huh? Control V to paste. Huh? Control V to paste. Mhm. Yeah, so I'll have to do it once again because I can see that yeah, most of this I copied them from somewhere, so they have been deleted, but there's no problem. You just do it faster. You can see once you do that, why is it giving me this other rating? Uh, Let me undo that. Mhm. Yeah, you have to copy that. Control C, then you paste by picking Control V. Yeah, there's no problem. I'll do the adjustments, even if it copies that way. Yeah, it makes my work easier. Yeah, so for this, yeah, I'll put the selling price per unit. Mhm. Copy that. Huh? Yeah, then yeah, yeah, the variable cost per unit. That one. Then we'll also have just copy that 350. We'll multiply it automatically. Then we have the contribution. Then we have the fixed cost per year. That one. And we include it here. Yeah, then here, what did we have? We had the initial cash outlay, capital outlay, and you can as well, from here, you can as well, you drag, that value will appear automatically there, yeah. Then from here now, I can also drag what was down here, the residual value, and I can decide, you just drag, sorry, it will double copy. Yeah, so for here, I'll just copy direct the residual value, which was 15 million. Okay, that's now okay. So NPV, you see, it will give you a different answer. There should be this. So we'll have you recalculate it. You say equals to NPV, and you'll get the same value. So there's no big deal. So the rate will be 11%, comma. I'll select all that, close, then I'll add back the initial. Yeah, so you have that value. So what we're doing here is the sensitivity analysis. So you change units as other factors remain constant, so that we look at the change on the NPV. Yeah. So units, yeah. So units were adversely affected at 7.5%. So units, these are units of production, yeah? Yeah, so if they are adversely affected, so it means that they will reduce by that adverse change, the 7.5%. So this is what you do. You come here, so I'll come here and say equals to, yeah, you know the original, you go to base case, yeah? So the base case was that. I'll multiply by bracket 1 minus, yeah, because it's reducing by 7.5%, yeah. Units will always reduce when they are adversely affected, yeah. So how will that be sensitive to their NPV? So it means that what will happen to the NPV if units reduce by 7.5%? So it's 1, we have D32, and you can see here, we have, this is a row 32. Yeah, so I'll lock that row only, lock that row 32. Yeah, but I'll lock the 7.5% completely because it will be constant all through. So that when I drag, I enter and drag, those other values will change automatically based on the items here. Though, yeah, it will be constant because we have units, the same units throughout. Yeah, yeah. So you enter. Yeah. So once you enter, you see, it will give me 35,150 all over. Yeah, 35,150 all over, and it doesn't change that way. So it changes automatically. So once that change, the NPV you can see it is still negative. Yeah. So it's even becoming worse. Huh? Yeah. So that's what they were testing on sensitivity. So that's one. Yeah. Then you go to B now. B, the other project input will be the selling price per unit. Yeah. Because those you only work with what you are given. Yeah. Don't come and change revenue. Yeah. The selling price per unit. So the selling price per unit. Come here and say selling price per unit. That's what you carry out a sensitivity analysis on. So that's the second one. Yeah, and you still copy the best case NPV. Don't copy this, because if you copy this, you will mess up. Yeah, so you copy the best case NPV. So I'll highlight that up to that, then Control C. Then you paste by saying Control V. Yeah, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. So units, we'll start with the units. So I'll just copy from the original data. There were 38,000 units. Then what follows here was the selling price. This is our selling price. Our selling price was the original one. Huh? Yeah, you copy this information. It was 700. We continue. Sorry, I muted. Yeah, so we'll copy that. Then we will also copy this variable cost per unit. Yeah, from the original data. Don't confuse. Variable cost per unit from the original data. Yeah, so this won't take you time. This won't take you time. You paste and those other values appear automatically. So you won't struggle so much. I won't struggle so much. Therefore, you have contribution. So here I'll only put the fixed cost per year. And you just copy. Once you when you click this, all those others will copy automatically. Yeah, and you'll have that value. So here we'll have the initial cash outlay, initial capital outlay, which is here. And I say from here now, I can just drag to get this value. Yeah. And I can also drag down to save on time to copy that. Then this one now I can copy. From the base case NPV that way. Yeah. So I'll also have to calculate this again so that I get the original NPV. So I'll just equals to NPV. My rate was 11%, comma. I select all that. I close the bracket, you add back this. Yeah, your NPV should be that NPV that we had under. Yeah, just to confirm if you are right. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah. So now we are under selling price. So it means that we are going to change selling price, but all these other factors remain constant. We want to see what will happen to the net present value, what will happen to the NPV. So selling price, when they are adversely affected, then it means that the selling price per unit, that's revenue, that's part of revenue, it will reduce. Yeah, it will reduce when they are adversely affected. So what do you do? So what do you do at that point? Sorry. My microphone is muting me. Sorry for that. So we will now change this. Yeah. So you come here. It reduces the selling price. It affects the revenue when they are adversely affected. So just come here and say equals to. You go to the original data. Selling price was 700. You can see now units remain 38,000. Yeah. You see. Yeah. Units, everything remain. The only thing you interfere with is the selling price. Yeah, so you take that and you multiply by bracket 1 minus, because it will be affected negatively. It will reduce the selling price when they are adversely affected. So it will be 1 minus 7.5. Yeah, yeah. And the same way. So I'll lock row 33. Then I'll also lock completely the 7.5% because it will be constant all through. All through. Yeah. So when I enter, yeah, it will give me this 648 all through. And you can see the NPV has changed. Yeah, it's now negative 8 million, 8.5 million. So you go to C, you do the same. C, you go to C and you do the same. And now C will be the variable cost per unit. Yeah, variable cost per unit. Variable cost per unit. Yeah, variable cost per unit. So we do the same. I'll copy the original, the best case NPV. Copy it. Sorry. You copy that. Say Control C. Then yeah, we'll also say Control V to paste. Yes, the units copy from the original. Yeah, you copy this original data first before you do the analysis. Then this was selling price per unit. Yeah, I'll go back, copy that. And then here we'll have this one. Here we'll have revenue. Then here we'll copy the variable cost per unit from the original data. It will give us variable cost per unit. Yeah, from the original, 350. One changes. Then here we have the fixed cost. Fixed cost was how much? 2.5. Yeah, you have to be very keen. Yeah. Yeah, you must be very keen, because if you're not keen, you'll mess up and you lose a mark for that. Yeah, so the initial capital outlay, it was it. So I'll just drag to have it copy. Then here I will just drag it down. Let's get that. Cancel. Let me cancel that. So let me just copy residual. Yeah, don't get tired. Yeah, don't let fatigue not lie to you. Yeah, so I'll again calculate the NPV, because you have to get the best case NPV. Yeah, that's when we do the sensitivity analysis. Yeah, so NPV, the rate is 11% up there, comma, then I'll select all that. Then I'll add back that value. Yeah, the reason why I'm incorporating the formula so that when we do the sensitivity, it will change automatically. Yeah, it will change automatically. Yeah, so we are at variable cost. So cost, when they are adversely affected, then it means they increase. Huh? Yeah, the costs will always increase. So the variable cost per unit will increase. So I'll just come here and say equals to. Then I go to the original data. The original data where we have variable cost per unit. Then I select that value. Then I'll multiply by bracket 1 plus the 7.5%, the adverse variance. Yeah, yeah, that's 7.5. Yeah, so unlock this completely, unlock it completely. And I'll also lock this row. Yeah, the reason yeah, the variable cost per unit was constant, even the units, but I'm locking because sometimes there's a growth rate. So when you lock correctly, you just enter and drag, and they will change automatically. Yes, yeah. So it has changed to 376 from 350. Yeah. And you can see the NPV is still negative 4 million. So I'll go to part D. D, which is the other item. Yeah, we are told that we only don't vary the residual value and the project life cycle. Yeah, the useful life. Huh? Yeah, so D will be mm, variable cost, no, fixed cost. Huh? Yeah, fixed cost, fixed cost. Yeah, so we'll vary the fixed cost. Yeah, so we do the same. We'll copy and paste the original data. Copy and paste the original data. So the original data is this. Control C. Control V. So the units there. I just copy the original data. Our selling price. You go back. Don't tire. Don't get tired. Don't get tired. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. Selling price per unit. The original data. Yeah, because if you copy all those others, you will mess up. You mess up. So revenue there. Therefore, we have the variable cost per unit. Which is 350. Variable cost per unit is 350. Therefore, contribution is that the fixed cost, the original data, yeah, fixed cost. Fixed cost per year will be that value. Therefore, you have the operating cash flow. So we'll look at the initial capital outlay. The original information, yeah. Always go to the base case, huh? Yeah, I'll keep on insisting on that. I say that this one you can just drag. Let me drag it. Sorry. And down here, can also drag so that we have the residual value. That's what I'll copy from the original data, that one. Good. So I'll calculate this NPV again so that I capture the formula. So the rate was 11%. It's up here. Yeah, what we have just done, we have just copied the base case before we do the analysis. Yeah, so I have to repeat because when I'm copying, I don't capture those values correctly. Yeah, so I'll add that. It will give me that value. Yeah. So at this point, we are going to vary now the fixed cost and cost. When they are varied adversely, then they increase. Yeah. So I'll go to fixed cost per year here. and I'll say equals to, so I'll pick the fixed cost under the original data, under base case, this one, and I'll multiply by bracket 1 plus, yeah, because they increase, plus the adverse, the adverse variance. Yeah, so I'll do that, and I'll close the bracket. Yeah, so let me just lock the row 38, because there are instances that they do change. Yeah, so you lock that row, and I'll also lock the adverse variance completely, because it will be constant all through. So I'll lock it completely, then I'll enter. Hmm. Yeah, so you can see it has changed automatically. There's no need of dragging, because it was a similar value. Yeah, but when I drag, let me drag this. When I drag it, then when you click this, you can see it has applied that formula, which is okay. Yeah. So NPV, you can see it will be negative 187,522.98.98. Yeah. So it's still not viable. Yeah. It's still not viable. Hmm. Then the last one will be the initial capital outlay. Yeah. Because we are not going to deal with the residual value. So E, and you see there were 5 marks. So it means that for each one you do, they give you a mark, 1 mark. Yeah. You do the sensitivity for one, they give you, and you can only be accurate on doing this sensitivity when your base case NPV is correct. Yeah. Yeah, you can't get it correct when your NPV is not correct. That's now the funny part of these questions under financial management. Mm. Yeah, so we have the initial capital outlay. So we'll vary that now. Initial capital outlay. Great. So I'll copy the same thing, copy and paste. I'll copy and paste, same thing. So we'll copy up to NPV, Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. So we'll have units. So yeah, the units till 38,000 units. You go back to the original data. Don't get tired. Yeah, so for this I can just drag here also. Sorry, why is it giving me units? So let me just copy the selling price per unit. Revenue. Selling price per unit, it was 700. Revenue, that one. Then variable cost per unit also, we are just doing what is under the base case. Under the base case. So variable cost per unit will give us that. And we'll have 350. 350. Then we'll have fixed cost. Fixed costs per year. And the fixed cost will have this. Then here we'll have the initial capital outlay. The initial capital outlay. Drag that. Then we'll have the residual. Then I can copy it, the salvage value, which is 15. Okay, so let me calculate this for the last time, the NPV, because this is the last one. So say equals to NPV and the rate is 11%, comma, then you select those other items, select everything, then you close the bracket, then you add back the initial investment. Add back the initial. So it will give us that, yeah. So what we vary is this, yeah. So it's an initial capital outlay. That's cost, yeah. So it will increase. If it is adversely affected, then it means it will increase. So just say equals to, yeah. Here ina mambo mingi, yeah. It doesn't have so much to do. So you just pick the original value there, and then you multiply by 1 times, multiply by bracket 1 plus, yeah, because it's a cost, it will increase, plus the 7.5% variance. This one, huh? Yeah, then you close the bracket, then you enter. Yes, once you enter, yeah, the NPV will still be negative. The NPV will still be negative. Yeah, so it will increase to that and it will give us a negative NPV. Yeah, so that's how you are supposed to do this question, that part B of the question, and you get your 5 marks. So I assume that for units, that one, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, because we have varied 5 inputs, yeah. Number C, prepare an appropriate chart to indicate the different NPVs for each scenario in B above. So these scenarios are units. Yeah, so this is what I will do to prepare a graph. So we'll have units. Let me just say units. I will have units that order. Let me use the small letters. Units. Then we had selling price per unit, because that's what we varied, selling price per unit. Then we'll also have the variable cost per unit. Variable cost per unit. Then we have fixed cost. Fixed costs. Then we have the initial capital outlay. The initial capital outlay. So we have what we call the NPV. Yeah, in fact, this is the sensitivity, yeah? Well, let me just say NPV. Yeah, so for units, it was the units NPV. Yeah, so for the units, what values do you pick? The sensitivity. That was that. I'll put it there. Selling price per unit. It is here. Enter variable cost per unit. As the variable. Is this one, huh? Select that, then fixed cost. That one. Then they're all negative, yeah. Then we'll have the last one, which is the initial capital outlay, which will be that. Huh? Okay, so once you have that, you just highlight all this. Sorry. You select these values, then you go to insert, then you go to recommended. They want a graph. I don't know if this one is one. Are they specific? What are they asking for? That we prepare what? We prepare an appropriate chart. Yeah. So chart can be even a pie chart. So yeah. So yeah, just go to recommended. I'll pick that pie chart and I say, okay, yeah, they'll come and put it here. Yeah, so that's what they requested of you, yeah? Yeah, so unit, selling price per unit, variable cost per unit. So you have a pie chart representing all that information. Yeah, let me go to the last part of the question. The last part of the question was requesting that we identify the inputs variability where the project still remain viable. Yeah, so this inputs for the project to remain viable, the input variability are these items, yeah, the selling price. So you look at what you can change to make it positive, yeah, for the project to be viable, yeah. But you see, when you identify the inputs variability where the project still remain viable, this number 5, uh, they means that is there anything that you can change? Because you see all this, we have changed everything, but the project is not viable. Yeah, the project, there's nowhere where we had a positive NPV. So I have a feeling that maybe there was no, I don't want to doubt the examiner, but I have a feeling that there was a problem somewhere that maybe we'll see. We'll see when I get the marking scheme. When we finally get the marking scheme next week. So I identify the inputs where the project still remain viable. Yeah, because the input variabilities, like in this case, we are supposed to have units. So if units could have been adjusted, then we had a positive NPV, then we pick it. Huh? Yeah. So unless residual value, because even if now we did not interfere with the residual value and I tried and change it, we see whether, because that residual value, it's an income, huh? So it means that we'll reduce it if it is adversely affected. It's revenue, yeah. So if you reduce it, it will even, yeah, it will even be go beyond when it is negative NPV. Yeah, so I think what I can say is that there was no any input variability that made the project to remain viable. Because this question they ask is as if there was a viable project in part B. Yeah. And we have seen that even if you change, those projects were not viable. Yeah. So until next time, let me say bye-bye and subscribe, like the video and share. Thank you so much.